Hi there, thanks for watching. Decided to put this video together from the comforts of your own home as opposed to being out in the freezing cold at Scarborough. Firstly, I want to say I don't come from Scarborough at all. I'm not from that area. It's just when I first got interested a few weeks ago in the mud flood phenomenon, I was at Scarborough at the time. I was having a little message with Mick from Rebel Without a Pause, and he just happened to mention if you're out and about to whip out your camera and take a few pictures, which is what I did. But I really want to concentrate more this time, not so much on flood streets, but a particular building, this one that you can see here, the Grand Hotel. It really first sparked my interest a couple of years ago. I was fortunate enough to stop there for the night. It wasn't very, but 2 nights it wasn't a very pleasurable experience, but I'll get into that in a little bit. The official narrative of this wonderful building, it was built in Victorian times. It was completed in 1869. It was built around the yearly calendar. Firstly, it was built in the shape of a V. As you can see, there's one side of the V going off down here and one side going off down there. But it was also built around the yearly calendar. You have your 4 towers, which represent your 4 seasons. You have 52 chimney stacks somewhere that represent the 52 weeks of the year. You have 365 bedrooms. And most importantly, from our sort of standpoint, is it has 12 floors. Now, firstly, this is a purpose-built hotel from scratch. It was the biggest of its kind in Europe. And as you can see, really, we'll start dissecting this. This is a view from the front. This is the entrance where you go in. This is classed as the 7th floor. It's the turret rooms. But as you count down, if that's 1 level, the little white windows are 2. That's 3. Underneath the eaves there is 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Which makes no sense at all. A purpose-built hotel to have so many floors underground in the mud. Now when you think about it, it's sort of this frontage here, 3 floors worth, that's actually below street level here. And this is where this purpose-built hotel doesn't really jive with me. Move on to the back of the building here. Now, when this was built in the shape of a V, I'll show you an aerial view in a bit, but when it was built in the shape of a V, at the same time this was built, sorry about that, phone call I needed to get. Say this is the back of the building. When this building was built, and it says nothing about this in the original descriptions, they built this 3-story extension. So the actual bottom half of that building is behind this extension, and it was built at the same time. So it makes no sense at all. What I actually think is, when they've been building this or designing it, they've needed some sort of retaining wall to keep all this lot up. And rather than just a retaining wall, they built a retaining extension, which, they can maximise all these windows then. Because, sea views are, top dollar. And what you don't see very well on this picture here, and that's this bottom half here, it actually, from there down to here, it's a huge, what was Victorian spa complex, built as part of the hotel, I assume. As you can see, it has quite a nice doorway here. I'll show you a picture in a minute. I think that was the doorway that, the wealthy people had stopped here, rather than going down onto the street and queuing up to get in this place. They had their own little doorway, which, leads down here. Let's move on to the next one. This is roughly what it was, Victorian era, just after it was built. It's almost like a three-step, it's not three-step pyramid, but, you know, to keep that building in place, they built that, and to keep it all in place, they built that. And, you know, I think I've got a picture here, actually, taken from, well, I'll just turn the lights on a little bit. As you can see in its Victorian heyday, this extension here, that was built at the same time, but there's no mention of it. You'll have your little towers on here as well. And the other crazy thing is, all these spikes up the top here. Right, back to these ones here. I'll just basically, this is again Victorian era, supposedly in its heyday, although there doesn't seem that many people about. But nice doorway, you know, they're pointed out, and the nice path that goes down in this bar area. It has a double balcony, actually. I've actually stopped in them rooms there on that balcony. This level is actually being covered up with a later extension. I'll show you in a bit. This is the hotel from obviously a different angle. I was fortunate enough to stop in a hotel over the road. And, you know, it's a beautiful uniformity of the windows out the front, but nothing like that in the middle. The other strange thing is this thing here. What it is, what its purpose is, I have no idea, but there's a smaller one on the front. And you can see better here, you know, the V shape that it actually is. This area down here, I'll get to in a minute. It's how my view changed on this building within the space of a couple of minutes, really. It's where I thought was the impact area, mud flood impact area, because the direction the mud would have come would have been the other side of that building. The first contact on this building would have been on the corner down here. But I took a picture of it and sent it to somebody, and I'll tell you the results in a minute. This is a view of the hotel, but it's mainly this picture I wanted to point out. I've already done a little video about down here. All these mud flood, you know, rooms below street level. Cliff Terrace at the bottom here, I managed to get around the back of them buildings on one of the little videos I've done, and you can actually see the rooms disappearing underneath the road. So this whole area is affected. And what you can see just here, I'll show you a bit better in another picture, is a bridge that takes you across a big ravine over to a big hill this side. Now all these properties here and all the ones along there that face out onto the ocean are all the same with underground levels, which makes no sense at all, really. You know, it's prime property, it's overlooking the North Sea, so why do you build levels below ground? It's just beyond me. This is the view from the top. I mean, this is the original design, the V that I've mentioned about, you know, the 4 towers. You'd have your dome in the centre, you'd have your dome there. But this extension is not mentioned anywhere as part of the main build that I can find. But I'm not from Scarborough, so, you know, I may be looking in the wrong places or whatever. So anyone that can help me out with any of this that I'm talking about, you know, I'd be really grateful. This is the extension of the back that I was talking about, and it gives you some idea of not only how deep it is, but this level here is street level out the front of the building. So you have all this distance way, way, way below street level out the front, which for a purpose-built hotel, you know, it's crackers. It's absolutely crackers. It makes no sense whatsoever. You know, a quarter of your windows on that side of the building are under the ground, and a quarter of your windows this side of the building are looking into this thing. That gives you you know, just from a slightly different angle, as you can see, the windows, you know, still go down here. I'm going up on the roof shortly with pictures, so I can take you a picture, you know, down here. And also the double balcony. That one's in use now, but this balcony is now covered over by this later extension. early 1900s, I think. So looking up the gap again, really, it's a retaining wall as such. It's a retaining extension. I mean, that's a corridor, but when I get up on the roof, I'll show you what I mean. This gives you some idea of how steep the steps are, you know, from this is your road level up here out the front, and this is getting down towards your footprint of your building. You know, it's just immense. This is looking down, and after we've been on the roof, I'll come round to this corner here. And this is, you know, street level out the front. You know, it's one heck of a distance. And if you take into consideration the spa complex at the front, it's where that lady stood down there. You know, it's one heck of a distance from top to bottom. This is on the roof of the extension. You can see the balcony is still in use. I've actually stopped in that room there. You can see your white fence here, iron railings there. That's to stop you from falling down the gap. You know, it's one heck of a drop. As you can see, this is the second balcony that's no longer in use. If that was followed through the building, that would be out at street level at the front. And as you can see, just with these, I mean, you can see at least 3 levels going down there. These are the retaining, what I call retaining walls. You know, it's a separate extension, but it's very firmly connected to the main building. And the thing is, you know, the windows still go down. You know, it's really confusing, because why would you have that window space going right down to the floor if you're going to build an extension in front of it? Not unless it was for light purposes, maybe, I don't know. But it doesn't really make sense at all, not to me. Again, it's looking down that gap. There's a few pipes and things in the way there. This is where I was stood taking a photo, looking up the gap, and it gives you some idea of, you know, the depth that goes to. You know, it's hellish deep. And there's at least this out the front of the building that's underground. And you don't build a purpose hotel like that, I'm afraid. I don't think so, anyway. This is again looking down the gap. And with this one, I mean, this is 1 below street level. That's 2. You've got 3 going down there. You can see the fire escape. And you've got the 4 going down there. So, you know, there's the stairs again. It makes no sense at all. This is the impact area, and it's where I'm going to leave it because I'm running out of time on this one. But I'll start the grand part 2 from this, you know, spot, and tell you what I think about the place, because I don't really think it doesn't go with the official narrative anyway. So thanks very much for listening to this half, and I hope to catch you on the second half. Bye for now. Hello again. Thanks for coming back for part 2. This area, really, the impact area as I call it, just before I mention that, these levels below street level, there's no secret about them. This hotel is noted for what we call its interior rooms. Them levels are used up, but the bedrooms down there have no windows, no ventilation, no bugger all. They're horrible. And that was my first bad experience stopping here. So, you know, I actually believe there's more down there than what the staff say. But, you know, these levels aren't a secret. Right, continue on with this impact area. When I was busy taking pictures for Mick, he just sent me a message. I was having fish and chips, to keep an eye out for brick, you know, stonework. There isn't stonework really, that's just plaster. And this is the wall I come across. So I made a little video. It's on YouTube. I made a little video just explaining to Mick about this wall, but also what I thought about this area. See, if the mud or whatever was coming, it would hit this corner of the building first. You'd have so much of it flowing down here and so much flowing across the front of the building. And I was saying to them, what I thought is if something's happened to this part of the building and it's been bodged up basically with, cheap modern brickwork, and make rebel without a pause. When he took a look at the video, I know absolutely nothing about the building trade or architecture or anything. At the time, Mick didn't know anything about this building either. But when he took a look at it, he said, some of this brickwork, the red brickwork, could be 200 years old. It's old brickwork. It's not modern stuff. And really, at that point, my jaw hit the floor, the bloody big clunk. Because if this red brickwork, some of this is 200 years old, this whole hotel is only 150 years old. So what's 200-year-old brickwork doing in a 150-year-old? It just makes no sense at all. So that's when I, moved away from the building as such and started to go on the hunt to see what was there beforehand. And this is a picture. This is where the Grand Hotel is now. It basically states that Scarborough's own St Nicholas Hospital once stood here, which I thought fair enough, but move on a bit. This is from 1850. It's just before the Grand was built, the Ordnance Survey map, and it shows, a small, I don't know, there's a gap there. I can't understand what that is, but it shows basically a row of houses, and I think this bloody big thing stuck on the back, as I thought. But what is important with this picture as well, it shows you that there used to be a beck that used to run into the sea here. Before the Grand was completed, this beck has disappeared. I don't know whether it's been piped off to supply the town's water supply, whether it's been to supply the various spas or whatever. I don't know. And like I said, I'm not from this area, so I don't know the history that well. This is one of those eureka pictures, I thought, because firstly, it shows you the Grand Hotel, the year it opened, this picture's from. It shows all the fireworks, which I thought, great stuff, that must be the celebration of the grand opening. You can see the tower there on the extension, so the extension's definitely there. These have gone now, these chimney stacks. But look at all these rods and antenna on the top of the building. But not only that, what really blew my mind away, I thought, Christ, look. After watching Martin and Phil and other people like that with their channels, oh Christ, look at all the mud. The stuff's everywhere, as I thought. And I was really feeling quite pleased with myself and quite chuffed with myself. And then I come across this image, which is a photo of that picture I've just shown you. But how easy I can be misled. All what I thought was mud is really trees and foliage and bushes or whatever. Like I say, that's the metal bridge that connects one valley to the other. The stream by this time has gone. Don't know where that's gone to. But we'll move on to further down the history line. This is just another view I showed you earlier on, and it's, and it's Victorian heyday with its two little towers on there, and I'm almost sure there's spikes up the top there as well. No, it's not going to enlarge for me, is it? Yes, it is. You can clearly see these spikes, and you can clearly sort of see the three-step to it all. And all this is still there. They've ripped the front away, and it's all just plain brick wall now, but all their infrastructure, I believe, is still behind them walls. So anybody that works for the council that, maintains that, or if it belongs to the hotel, this is the one that really sort of blew me away, this image. These are called the Woods Lodgings. It's before the Grand Hotel, and I think after the hospital. And as you can see, they're all buildings. But look what these buildings stood in. You know, them buildings are very, very clearly built on top of this structure here. Now, this is a structure that was here long before the Grand. So this is where I think when the Grand was designed and built, I don't really think it was built from scratch, as they say. I actually think that they're built on top of something that was already there. But as far as I can trace back, you know, before these there was a hospital, and that doesn't look like a hospital. You know, that it doesn't make sense. Then I come across another picture which shows you from the back view, which is this one here. And this is long before you see the blue bridge there. You know, that was 1827, I think that was put in. You can see the buildings there, which we've just had a look at, but they are very, very clearly in the footprint of this humongous thing here. What it is, I think I found out what it is. But I mean, it's so much you can see. They haven't even bothered scraping the mud from the side, you know, they've just left it where it is. There's not that many people about either on this picture drawing. This is another picture I come across which really just backs up what I've just said on that other picture. You know, you have your blue bridge that comes across there. You clearly have a structure there. You know, which was there before the Grand. And, you know, it's a structure I think I may have found the answer to when I came across this beauty. Now, this is a copper printing engraving that was done sometime in the 1700s. I ain't got a clue when. Maybe somebody that can identify these boats, you know, give me a better idea. But what it shows you is the same bay that the Grand Hotel is in. You have your big castle here, but when you, I won't enlarge it too much, just a little bit. When you start and look at Scarborough as the town, you know, it does actually look like they're just starting to dig themselves out the mud. It really does. You know, this is sometime early 1700s. Oh, well, I'll go back out a bit actually. This is the gorge or the valley that I've been talking about. The water would have flowed out here. Now, the blue bridge, the metal bridge I've been talking about, actually would go from round about here over the gap to here. Now, right where the Grand Hotel is now, you have that little tiny monument there. I'll blow it up because that's all it is. It just looks like a heap of stones, to be honest. You know, but we go down the bottom here and have a look what that is. And that's the ruins of St. Nicholas Church. Now, after watching, as I have done with Martin and Phil, and, you know, a few other people that have been putting out these videos, where we know full well that some of these big religious buildings that the church is actually hijacked, that they were there for a totally different reason. You know, a reason that when they hijacked them, they've kept that knowledge to themselves. And as it states on the bottom there, it's actually the ruins underneath that lot. And I really do think that it's after the mud event. You know, maybe part of this church has been, you know, flattened, ruined, whatever. And at a later stage, they've dug it out as such and made use of, you know, if the churches were what we think they were used for in antiquity, you know, the Grand might be just a facade for what's actually going on below the Grand, if that makes sense. You know, you have a big water spa complex out the front now. And the other thing, just to finish this video off with, anybody at all that can help me with any of this about Scarborough, I'll be more than grateful. You know, you might live in Scarborough in one of the houses that seems to have 2 or 3 levels below street level. This is another really interesting thing that I've come across, and I haven't been able to do any research on. But here is the Spa building. So in the 1700s, that Spa building was pretty important. But what you have here, number C, is Dickie's Castle. Now, Dickie Dickinson, or someone like that they call him, in the 1700s, I think he built the first spa there, a bit of a jack-o'-lantern by all accounts. Now, I don't know whether this Dickie's Castle refers to an actual castle that used to be on that site, or whether it's a bit of a mockery and a piss take. Whoever had this, image created, that, Dickie thinks he's king of his castle, so to speak. So I don't know on that one, and I'll do a bit more research. But what is really strange, it's that the important buildings that are listed, 2 churches, the spa, 2 castles, and then you have the water supply. I know Nick Rebel Without a Pause is, quite interested in the hill situation. You have the top of the hill over here. You have a big valley ravine. You have the top of the whole hill over here off the picture, and literally everything in between is mud flood affected. But I'd like to know, if anyone can help in any way, shape or form, with this research, if anybody from Britannia Hotels ever sees this video, can me and Mick, me mudflood buddy, come and stop a weekend there with no limited access. Or maybe some council workers that, maintain the spa complex that's still at the front, that's all bricked up. And to finish off with, I don't know Scarborough at all. It really is it was just a seaside destination as a kid. I don't live close by. I live about 80 miles away from there, so I don't get the chance to go there that often. So any additional help, would be great. I'll leave my email address in the comments, anything that you want, anything you'd send me over. Maybe you work at the Grand and, you can take a few pictures of, what the foundation stoneworks are like. Anything at all, I'll be more than grateful. Or any comments at all. Because it's one of those strange subjects that I've only just got into it, but, it's taken me peace of mind away at times. It really is. Because I just want to find out more and learn more. I haven't even started in my hometown yet, which is, my next project. Anyhow, thanks very much indeed for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye.